Let's talk about the... There we go. Okay. Let's talk about the Seattle season ticket drive. Why not? Everybody else is. The Seattle season ticket drive has gone so high at this point right now. It is literally higher than the Space Needle itself. All that and more on this episode of the Hockey Talk Show. Yes. Welcome in to the Hockey Talk Show, live with you here on this Thursday, March 1st. Thank goodness I was sick of February. So tired of saying February. March 1st, as we march towards the playoffs. See what I did there? And we've got a Seattle season ticket drive to talk about that is honestly doing gangbusters. The Seattle season ticket drive is so popular, we are getting rid of the selling like hotcakes phrase and going with selling like Seattle hockey tickets. Like, that is literally where we are at as far as the Seattle season ticket drive has gone. Expectations have flown far through the roof, a roof that is actually architecturally protected because of its historical significance. And now we just busted through it. That's actually true. The Key Arena roof is historically protected, if you can believe such a thing. We are going to be talking about this. I am just thoroughly shocked. If you have not heard, not only did Seattle reach their season ticket threshold, they reached it in 12 minutes. 12 minutes. I mean, you want to talk about excitement? This is a redefinition of excitement. What they're doing in Seattle is far exceeding everybody's expectations. In fact, we thought at one point the $650 million price tag was a bit much for this franchise. They might have got it for a discount. That $650 million might have been a discount. Let me tell you what I love about the YouTube section right now, the YouTube comment section. It has nothing to do with the Hockey Talk Show. There is literally a full-on side conversation going on here, and this is not a criticism. I love it. I am glad that you guys are having your own conversation in the YouTube chat right now. That makes me so happy. Don't let me interrupt. Do not let me get in the way. No, don't apologize. I'm serious. Keep going. Do your thing, man. You guys are talking hockey. I'm not going to get in the way. If you need me, let me know. I'll be right over here. That makes me so happy to see that. I think it's spectacular. I really, really think that is spectacular. Danny on Facebook, currently listening to this in class. Let me tell you something, Danny. It's better you pay attention to what we're talking about. That class ain't going to do nothing for you. And I don't even know what class it is. And Evander's in on the show. Thanks so much for that. Louis, Austin, Uncle Buck, Liz, welcome all in. Everybody who's just joining the pot from the NHL Red Light Hockey group. Thank you guys, Dustin and the whole crew, for having us over there. It continues to be a lot of fun to chat it up with the folks over at the Red Light Hockey NHL group on Facebook. I can't encourage you guys enough to join in if you're a fan of hockey and you love the Hockey Talk Show. You'll like posting with the crew over there at NHL Red Light Hockey on Facebook. We have, by the way, the up-to-the-minute numbers on the Seattle franchise. But before we get to that, we're going to do a couple of house cleaning maneuvers. And we talked about the ridiculousness. Well, somebody talked about the ridiculousness of signing Brian Gionta for the Boston Bruins. And I said, no, it's a good move. He had a good Olympics. He might be able to chime in and help. Worst case scenario, you keep him as a scratch or down in the minors all the rest of the season. And who really cares? Enter Bruce Cassidy, Brian Gionta, and Nick Holden will be in the lineup for tonight, making their NHL debut. So that is very cool. So Brian Gionta will be making his debut for the Bruins. It'll be interesting to see what number he winds up wearing. I think he was 14, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be totally wrong about that. I don't know why I'm blanking on Brian Gionta's number. right now. But I'll be curious to see what he's wearing tonight in the black and gold. Or do they call it black and yellow? I don't know. With all the excitement of the trade deadline, we sort of failed to realize, and it snuck up on us, that we got a Stadium Series game this weekend, right? March 3rd, Stadium Series, Caps and Maple Leafs. And we just got word that the outdoor practice that was planned for Friday has been canceled because of the weather. Wherever you're watching, listening from, there's a huge nor'easter that is coming up the eastern seaboard right now. I mean, this thing was massive, just stretching from Memphis to the Carolinas and Ohio. I mean, it was just huge. I was looking at the map earlier, and it's going to be up over the eastern seaboard starting tomorrow, and that is going to produce a lot of rain and high wind, and that is going to cancel the outdoor practice, which kind of stinks from a player standpoint because that's really their only opportunity to get to know the lay of the land and the rink, see how it looks, decide how much paint they want to drop on under the eyes there, and all that stuff. See where the glare is in the stadium, all that stuff. They won't have that opportunity now. They will more than likely, hopefully, get some sort of a morning skate in on Saturday. But again, there's no telling if the rain doesn't subside until the afternoon or late afternoon. They may not get on the ice until a little bit closer to game time. So that could really gunk up the works, the weather. It does look like it's going to clear up on Saturday night, and the game is Saturday night. So that is a good thing. What I love more than anything is the design that has gone into some of these outdoor games. And this one by no means is not just absolutely beautifully spectacular. Let's take a look at this here. This is the stadium where Navy plays, where the NHL outdoor game will be taking place. And I took a look at this and I thought, well, first of all, it's beautiful. The stadium itself, very old school, very college. You got the lawn over here. You got some lawn seats up top. There's a plaza over here. Just the big sprawling stands and another little thing. Clearly a football, like just old school, football, college football stadium, open air, very, very nice. And then I'm looking at this here and I'm going, what exactly is their design? And I didn't get too much of a great look at it, but as you turn this, I'm like, what is that? The Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. And then as you get an overhead view, it's much better to see. That's an aircraft carrier. How about that? For the Navy game in Navy Stadium, the National Hockey League and whoever is responsible for designing these things has put an aircraft carrier in the center of the rink. It's obviously the water and the wake, those white little wake lines. And there's the aircraft carrier right there. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Liz, it looks so much better than the baseball stadiums, and the sight lines seem better. Agree? 1,000%. 1,000%. I thought it was great when they were in Boston and some of the older school stadiums. But when they went to the big house in Michigan, I thought, wow, that was really special and different. But this, to me, there's something about this stadium that just, I don't know, makes this a little bit more special, I feel. I really just think that there's something to this that is just it's just sweet looking. It looks like a college, it looks like a real college stadium. And I don't know, something about it that makes it a little bit more relatable, I think, than just, sitting in a cavernous football stadium, which those never really look great. They're never architecturally beautiful or anything like that, or have charm to them. You know what I mean? Whereas this totally does. And I love the design of the aircraft carrier in there. I mean, what a better way to, pay tribute to the Navy. So really, really nice job on the part of the NHL and all the folks that were responsible for this. It looks beautiful. Really, really beautifully done. I think that's going to be a nice thing for everybody to watch and take part in Saturday. Really looking forward to it. Stadium Series. This is the last game. I like that it's so late in the year, too. I think that that's pretty cool. I do have an appreciation for that. I like the idea of having multiple series around North America to cover more types of fans, says Austin. Uncle Buck agrees. If they should have had the Philly-Pittsburgh game at Penn State in Beaver Stadium, that's the center of the state. I you know what? There's something, and maybe it wasn't the big house game, but maybe it was. There's something about that college hometown feel that I think is a lot more appealing than the baseball stadiums and the football stadiums. Like, I thought it was great at Fenway. I thought there was a lot of history to it. And overall, it looks really impressive in some of the baseball stadiums. But when you look at these things and that kind of like hometown feel, I just think it's cooler. Plus, I think it's a real opportunity for them to grow the game and get outside of, you know, the cities. Like, what's great about this is it's in Annapolis. It's outside of Washington, D.C., you know. Every other game has been in Buffalo, in Boston. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Michigan game was great because it wasn't in, you know, Detroit City. That was what was so cool about it. You know, it brings you that nostalgia. You know, I think they should really explore more. I agree wholeheartedly with what you guys are saying. They should explore more college stadiums. I think it's really, really just a fun little atmosphere. Speaking of fun atmosphere, that was Seattle today. There's Jerry Bruckheimer taking a look at his cell phone, trying to figure out how much of that $650 million he's laying out is going to be recouped. And as it turns out, a hell of a lot. Hell of a lot of that money is getting recouped today. The Seattle franchise, or I should say potential franchise, let's not forget that the city has not been awarded a franchise yet, but that is all just basically a formality at this point. Started their season ticket drive today, I believe at 1 o'clock, I believe. Kind of insignificant at the time. But in 720 seconds or 12 minutes, they sold 10,000 seats, 10,000 deposits, essentially. How it works is you're putting down a $500 deposit on season tickets or a $1,000 deposit on club season tickets. They're essentially, you know, that first little ring around the actual rink itself. And they were 10,000 in 12 minutes into the process. When this was tweeted at 11:05 a.m., now I think that's Pacific, but when this was tweeted, they were at 25,000 deposits. 25,000 deposits. Just as of a little bit before showtime here, John Shannon reporting that the season ticket deposit was up around 27,381. That is ridiculous. Ridiculous numbers. Ridiculous. It took Vegas a little while to get up to the the 10,000 deposit mark where they're supposed to be at. It took them a while. Now, the way things were done with Columbus and Nashville, it was a little bit different back then. They had PSLs and things to deal with, but the closest we can judge, and I don't have an exact number on this, but I know it took them it was like weeks for Vegas. It was weeks for them to do it. And Seattle has done it now in 12 minutes. And then another little while, and we haven't gotten a more updated count on this, but over 27,000. Now, so what that means is, and by the way, these aren't, I researched it. I reached out to a few folks, and these aren't partial season plans. If you put a deposit down, you are in, like you are committed to 41 games. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get season tickets, because let's be honest, the biggest arena in the National Hockey League, I think, is 19,000 seats. So I'm not sure exactly what the final seat count is going to be about the new Key Arena, because Oakview is in the middle of renovating it. But even if it is 19,000 seats, that means 6,000 people are going to be turned away for season tickets. 6,000 people are going to be turned away. 6,000 people in Seattle are going to be told, sorry, we don't have room for you, for a franchise that is yet to be born. I mean, I don't think that anybody could have thought that this was possible. I just don't. I mean, 6,000 people are going to be. And by the way, they knew this. And so once you hit this mark, and then all of a sudden people are going, we have, look, we have all these, so you might not, you're going to be on a list now and you're going to get a number and it depends, and blah, blah, blah. And people were still like, please take my $1,000. Please. Let me give you 500. Shut up and take my money. I mean, it's been taken to a new level. Gregory, thanks so much for this. Montreal is 21,573. Okay, so 21,000. I don't know why I thought 19 was the tops. So Montreal is 21,573. Molson Center is a monster. I don't think that Oakview is even going to be there. So even if we split the difference around 20,000, you're still talking. Even if it was even if it was one, you understand? If it was one person was put on a waiting list, that would have been amazing. That would have been a huge victory. By the way, let's also take this moment to realize that Ottawa played a playoff game without selling out. Carolina struggles to even get 4,000 people in that building a night. Okay? Calgary has gone into an attendance slump. The Barclays Center consistently is not filled unless you're playing the Rangers, and it doesn't even really sell out all that much on a weekend game. Same goes for the Rock in New Jersey. There are countless arenas every single night where 2,000, 3,000, and 4,000 seats are empty. And this franchise just oversold themselves by roughly 4,000 to 5,000 season ticket holders. Season ticket holders. The Bells. What did I say? I said the Molson Center? Oh, that's funny. I'm stuck in the 90s. That's what my problem is. I'm stuck in the 90s. I mean, this is insane. Literally, there will be no individual tickets sold. There will be none. Partial ticket packages. Bupkis. None. Tickets are sold. These are football. The New York Giants, like the only franchise I can think, the New York Yankees still have to sell individual game tickets. They still struggle and sell package tickets. Now, baseball is a smidge different, 162 game season. But my point is, in the baseball crazy New York market, with the historically popular franchise, 27 million championship New York Yankees, and you can still walk up to Yankee Stadium in the daytime and buy a ticket for a game that starts in 5 minutes. You will not be able to do that in Seattle if you want to watch a hockey game. That's nuts. That is nuts. It's just absolutely crazy. Liz, as you said yesterday, Vegas is counting on a lot of visiting fans. Seattle is going to be more home fans. Very, very true. It's probably going to be really tough to be visiting a visiting fan there. Tough. Visiting fans aren't going to exist. I mean, unless you live in Seattle and you follow another team. But even as we've seen with Vegas, all of those guys and gals are converting over. I mean, some people will be loyal to their franchise for all time, but other people are gonna. I mean, what are you gonna do? That's your hometown team. You're gonna buy tickets. You're gonna support them. It's just crazy. Lots of Oregon fans. Eddie, I would love to see the stats on this 27,000 people. I bet you at least 3 or 4 of them are from Oregon. I just realized Vegas depends on fans from outside of town. They do. Vegas does. But here's the thing with Vegas. There's a lot of corporate sponsorship there. There's a lot of comp tickets that are given away. And that was the thing. They wanted to reach 10,000 without hitting that point, without tapping into that barrel. But a lot of those visiting fans you see are, because it's a huge touristy town. and B, you know, you stay there and you play for a little while, and they give you tickets to the hockey game. I know that the casinos, from what I understand, don't want to do that too much. They don't want you to be away for 3 hours. That's why you ever go see a show in Vegas, it's an hour. That's it. It is an hour, maybe an hour 10. Most of the time, it's an hour or 45 minutes because you go see the show and they want you back in the casino. So I know they don't want people off property for 2.5 hours, but I have heard that, you know, you can get some comp tickets to the Vegas Golden Knights game. And so that's why you get a lot of that. But again, it's a visiting town like we talked about. New York deals with it all the time. Los Angeles, Chicago, all these big, you know, touristy places have to deal with that as well. Let's see here. There's so many comments. I can't even read all these. These are great. So I'm so glad you guys are commenting crazy in the chat rooms. Here's another thing I noticed, and it's on the Seattle thing, and maybe this isn't too big of a deal, but I noticed they've really swung from green to red. I don't know what that means for the franchise and what it's going to be named or what it's going to be called, but I've noticed red has severely taken over the Seattle franchise, and I might be the only one obsessing over stupid little things like this, but here is a rendering of Key Arena, which they put out. And as you'll notice, there's like a reddish hue up at the top. And I thought, oh, it's kind of strange. And then you look at the flag that they flew over the on the Seattle Space Needle today. Boom. NHL 2020. That's the season they hope to start in. And it's a gigantic red flag. And if you think I'm nuts, I'm not. I can't really defend that, but I'm not all that crazy because look, this is the latest rendering that the Oakview group released. And if you remember the first rendering, this was all green. Scoreboard was green. The light board around was green. This was all green, but take a look. Everything is red now. The Seattle players down here are wearing red jerseys. The Seattle flags, oh, you can't really see it. I got the lower third in the way. Sorry. Apologies. Move that out of the way for you guys so you can take a look here, get a better view. Here, Seattle #1 fan, red shirt over here, red. It's all red. It's all red. Seattle 2020 season, it's all red. I don't know if we can read too much into that. I don't know what that really means, but it seems like perhaps this green thing, the Seattle Evergreens or whatever it was that was leading that poll, might not be the case. Maybe they want to separate themselves from that. Now this still green. Again, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see here. A lot of red here in the background. This guy's wearing a red shirt. Ladies wearing a red shirt. This guy's wearing red pants. I don't know why. You take a look over here at the board. Red over here. There's a lot of red in here. There's a lot of red. These are some of the looks. By the way, so what they did was a couple of interesting things. And again, I might be nerding out on you a little bit too much here. You let me know. But a couple of interesting things here besides the red. They totally redid. They made some it's been called drastic changes, and I must agree. The original plans for this was to keep the bowl where it was, which was a 2-tiered bowl. And as you can see here, this is going to be a 4-tiered bowl right now. You have your lower bowl. You have your suites level right here. This would be considered the upper bowl. And there is this 4th bowl, Madison Square Garden, similarly built. This 4th bowl right here. And then you have where the Garden is, like the bridge, or maybe this is a press row or whatever it is. And same thing on the other side. If it's not going to be press row on one side, it'll be suites on the other side. So they got this whole new look going on here and I don't know if they expanded it. I don't know if they, had people pre-registering and they just saw the writing on the wall and thought, forget, making a 16, 17,000 seat arena. Let's go big. Let's go 20,000. I'm not really sure what it was that changed it, but we've got a far bigger footprint, and they've sort of abandoned the old footprint. They're going to wipe everything out, and they're going to make a huge footprint all underneath ground, because if you look at the building here, the ceiling, it's not all that high off of the ground. So this entire arena is really going to be cast underground, which I find interesting. One thing that I learned is that the roof here is a historical landmark. So they physically could not make any changes to this roof. That was part of the agreement. That was part of the agreement there. So the roof has to stay intact. So that is why they really can't do much with this, but they're going to change how it looks, because the stadium, the seating in one of the old renditions was really up to the roof, and that'll be drastically changing as the whole entire thing widen out. One thing which I think was a lovely touch, and you can see here as the old roof is all up on this side of the building, they've decided to build this glass enclosure around the building that will act as an entrance on one side. But over here is a bar. So here you are standing watching the game, and you could turn just like this couple is, and you could look at the Space Needle. That's a nice touch. That is a beautiful touch. To answer the question, they made these renovations. They released these 2 days ago. So these changes came out 2 days ago. But it's not far off from what I said, because they had some people pre-registering for information. So if they were looking at those numbers and seeing, it might have given them the confidence to, supersize this bad boy a little bit. Again, let's not forget, it is a big market, and they are going to have a lot of concerts, possibly basketball. So this whole portion of the country, of course, certainly Seattle deserves to have quite a big arena to service the whole entire area. Do you think Seattle is going to be allowed to pick from Vegas's lineup? I don't know. I think by the time 2020 rolls around, they should be, because it's one thing to follow a team the next year in, right? Like when they had the Columbus, Minnesota, when that expansion was happening, I don't think they were exempt from having to give up players. This is going to be, what is this season? We're 17, 18. This is going to be 2021. You're 4 years in. You should have to be eligible. That's an awesome question, Greg. Can't help but think of the line, you're going to need a bigger boat from Jaws with this season ticket thing. True. Very, very true, Cameron. People are starting to say the process is cheap. Vegas is too good. It's not fair. Seattle will get the same chance. How do you feel about another new team plucking players? I feel just fine. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter what I feel or what you guys feel for that matter, because every one of these owners are going to get cut a $20 million plus check. And that eases a lot of pains. You can wave goodbye to you could wave goodbye to the 9th best player on your team for $21 million without a problem. I could wave goodbye to one of my children for $21 million. Those are jokes for you and I. Don't tell the wife. Yeah, I mean, it comes down. It's a money play at the end of the day. I mean, it's just a huge money play. So it's fine. I mean, the general managers hate it. But again, the general managers also like when their check clears. So these are all great things and great steps for the league. And they're great questions. And by the way, this is all healthy. Like, it's great. Expansion is always good. It would be better if Carolina was healthier, Ottawa was healthier. But, those things take time. Those things really take time. Jerry Bruckheimer is a super interesting guy. He's the one that's behind this franchise. Sportsnet caught up with him. And what I found particularly adorable, and that's why I'm going to share this clip with you here, is he was asked one question: how important is this day? And he literally answered 7 follow-up questions without even being asked a follow-up question. He was asked, how important is this day? And it was literally like he was asked 14 questions, because he just kept on answering questions. Now, if you guys have a question for me, put it in the comments below, because I'll try and get through as many as I can before the end of the night. But I want to play you Jerry Bruckheimer's comments so you can get a vibe of just how excited this guy is.
It's so exciting that we sold, 10,000 tickets in 12 minutes, and I think it would have been faster had the site not crashed, and there's still people in the queue, and we're so excited that we get to bring my favorite sport to such a great city as Seattle. And the competition between Seattle and Vancouver is going to be off the charts. We got to wait till June till we really get awarded by Gary Bettman and the owners a franchise, and hopefully that will happen, and that's what we're waiting for. That's next. And we're going to build a world-class arena for the visiting teams. It's going to be a very tough building to play in because it's a fantastic bowl. It's going to be a brand new bowl. The exterior is going to stay the same because it's conservation protected, which is what we wanted to do. So it's going to be a whole new arena for our hockey fans here in Seattle and for players who come from all over the world to be here.
So that's the, I mean, literally, he could not physically talk faster in those moments. There's Jerry right there checking out. And you heard him say, and I find this to be pretty interesting, that the site even crashed, that they could have done more. They could have possibly done more in that amount of time had the site not crashed. So that's pretty amazing. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Congratulations to him. He certainly deserves it. They're certainly working hard. They're certainly shelling out a ton of dough. And I also do love the little trash talk in there too. Like, oh, the Seattle-Vancouver games are going to be pretty intense. It's going to be a pretty good rivalry. Like, they don't even officially have a team yet. That's what's crazy. I think in the off season, June something is when they find out officially from the league after they vote whether or not they're going to get a franchise. But obviously, 27,000 ticket deposits. That is all but in the bag. How are we not talking about the dual Jumbotron thing? I think that's awesome. Is there a dual Jumbotron? Did I miss this? Let me take a look. Bring the photo back up for you here. Oh, yeah, there is a dual. That is. Who wrote that? Gregory, you're on fire today, my friend. That's pretty good. Pretty good. There's one. And there's two right there. It'll be interesting if they go with two triangular ones instead of one big square one in the middle. That is a great question. I did also notice this too. If we're going to nerd out, then I'll keep going. Look at this here. This is like a little platform that's obviously a support for the old roof that they've turned into like a little bit of a standing, it looks like a standing area right over there. And there's another photo that I didn't really grab, but there's it's sort of similar to this one. Let me see if you can see it over here. You can't really see it because it's on the other side of the arena, but they basically changed the entrance around because they were worried about pedestrian traffic and everything like that. So they're building this huge glass plaza, and there's going to be 3 main entrances in this building, which that's pretty ridiculous. That is pretty ridiculous. If Seattle gets a team, then what team in the West gets sent to the Eastern Conference to balance them each at 16 teams? That's a good question. It's a really good question, Eddie. I wonder about that. I don't know. And here's why I am I wouldn't throw a guess your way, because I think the idea of continually expanding is completely not off the table. Like Houston, Quebec City, you know, these are all possibilities still that are certainly possible. I mean, you know, logistically, from a geographical standpoint, Nashville would come over. It'd be weird to say, but Chicago might come over. But if they're gonna go ahead and counter with Quebec, or you know, you're gonna add Houston anyway, so then maybe you throw you know, Nashville and Chicago, or Nashville and St. Louis over. You know, that's entirely possible. You know, it is entirely possible. I mean, it sounded weird having Detroit over there in the East, but when you look at a map, Detroit, Columbus, these are Eastern teams. You know, if you want to use the Mississippi as a line of demarcation, you know, Chicago, like I said, Chicago and Nashville even could be dumped over on the other side. I mean, Nashville is in the West, and it's not all that far from Tampa. And, you know, I mean, it's probably quicker for Nashville to get to Raleigh and Tampa than it is to get to maybe not Dallas, but certainly Winnipeg and Colorado, you know? So, yeah, that is something to think about. That would definitely screw up that Central Division. So I really don't know. Or you may not really have to worry about it when the Arizona Coyotes move over to Quebec City. Maybe that'll even it all out for them. Travel would be. Do you think one day the NHL will start expanding overseas? No, I think the only league that can do that is the NFL, because once a week you can definitely put a franchise in London if they really wanted to. I think that's entirely possible. I mean, I think we'll get there one day where we'll see a London NFL team. We may even get to a point where we have a London NFL division, for Christ's sake. But not with hockey. It's too regional. You know, it's why the Metropolitan Division is one of the best divisions to play in, because you're on quick plane rides. It's super easy, and that's why it stinks to be the Edmonton Oilers, because you're literally flying across the country every time you're playing anybody outside of Calgary and Seattle. Seattle. See? It's already starting. Vancouver. So I think the NFL goes. I don't think the NHL goes. I wouldn't put it past the NHL to put a team in Mexico one day. You know, if that ever becomes a popular thing to do, I could totally see that happening. But outside of that, I don't really see the NHL being anywhere else but in North America. I think that they could definitely have some sort of a B league in Europe, or become more involved with European teams. If that were to happen, I could see some sort of a World Series where, you know, the European League winner goes and plays the Stanley Cup champion or something like that. But I don't know. It's kind of far-fetched. All right, I think that's it. Even Alaska, I think, that's a good point, Gregory. Even Alaska, I think, is just too far away. Just too far away. You know, minor league teams have tried to flourish in Alaska, and I know that's constantly the difficulty with having a franchise of any kind in Alaska. Is just the travel is it's a painstaking process and an expense too. All right, good one tonight. All about Seattle. I love it. We'll probably do a lot on the outdoor game tomorrow if anything develops there. If not, it'll be the news of the day. A big congratulations to the folks over in Seattle. And I'm excited. You know, it's like an embarrassment of riches. Like we're just seeing the spoils of the Vegas Golden Knights come to fruition, and now we got another franchise which is exceeding the latest one. It's unbelievable. But expansion has obviously been a good thing for Commissioner Gary Bettman. He's made all the right moves. You gotta, you know, love him or hate him. You could still boo him when he shows up at the draft. But he has definitely made all the right moves. We'll follow up on Brian Giunta and his play tonight and see how he does. Give me it's going to be a good one. NBC at 7, Boston Bruins, Pittsburgh Penguins. This is going to be a good matchup, possible Stanley Cup playoff matchup at some point. Give me the Pittsburgh Penguins on the road. Give me the Philadelphia Flyers at home against Carolina. Give me the Florida Panthers at home against the Devils. Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning against Dallas. Give me Nashville over Edmonton. Minnesota over Arizona. San Jose beats Chicago at home. Kings defeat the Blue Jackets. And that's it for tonight's matchups. Stick around in the YouTube chat. I'm sure Eddie V will have his picks coming up. I could see it pop up already. Nashville 5, Edmonton 1. It's my fault, Eddie. I didn't pre-sell this enough to get you ready. Just don't jinx us. The Lightning will be fine. Don't you worry about the Lightning. Thanks for great comments tonight, guys. Truly do appreciate it. And we'll see.